I bought a 3D printer. It's a Prusa Mini Plus. Yeah, it's quite a nice printer actually, but I've been on the fence about buying a 3D printer for a lot of time now. Because, well, I wrote a small piece of paper about the reasons and why I wanted it and also not wanted it. So let's go through that. Um, the first off is 3D printing comes with. What's up with that? Come on. Okay. 3D printing creates emissions. Well, it creates nanoparticle emissions and VOCs. VOC meaning volatile organic compounds. Now, VOCs can cause irritation and sickness, and well, nanoparticles are even worse because they can, due to their nanometer size, basically 100 nanometers or less, they can pass on pretty much directly to the bloodstream, which is not good for, well, for a lot of reasons. I'm sure you can understand. Now, it all depends on what kind of particle it is, really, because depending on the material the 3D printer is using, it can be a lot of different materials, but it's not healthy, whatever you are doing. So, yeah, there's that. And that has been a reason for me for quite a lot of time of thinking it's not going to work out, and I avoided 3D printers. Okay, secondly, the environmental impact. Yeah. Okay, so 3D printers as a base material usually use PLA, which is like the go-to material to print. It's called polylactic acid. It's called a biopolymer, but can be produced from plant-based materials. But the point about it is that it's said to be biodegradable. Now, biodegradable turned out to be quite a marketing term about this, and well, okay, technically it is biodegradable, but you need temperature above 60 degrees centigrade and bacteria that can consume the plastic, and that's not a combination that's usually happening in nature, honestly. So PLA is hard to degrade, and nobody is really doing anything about it at the moment. They are trying to come up with even more environmentally friendly solutions, but as I can see it here now in 2021, there really is no big infrastructure for recycling PLA, and yeah, that's an issue. Even if it's said to be plant-based, etc., etc., and many of them have additional additives, so that's also not a really nice thing. So and this is the most environmentally friendly version you can get. Yeah, of course, to print easy stuff, PLA is fine, but the main disadvantage of PLA is temperature and UV resistance, none of which is too good. PLA is said to be temperature resistant to about 70 degrees centigrade. I think it starts heat warping much less below that. So it's not really ideal if you want to use it for functional components. Anything functional, basically. And that brings it on to us onto the other type of materials which can be used with a 3D printer is the traditional plastics like polyamide, polypropylene, polycarbonate, and all of this stuff is well, not really, even less biodegradable, so to speak. And what that means for us is, well, if you print something, it's gonna be around for a long time. And these were my main two reasons against buying a 3D printer. And if you think about it, it's those are two quite big reasons. I'm an industrial designer by education, and come on. And so for me, 3D printing would be not about doing 3D Yodas and benches and Pikachus, basically. It would be about using it as a prototyping method and a means to an end. And this was my stance, and that's when my wife came into the picture because she said, "Oh, we could actually buy a 3D printer because she would like to sell stuff on Etsy." Okay, you can produce with it stuff that you cannot produce otherwise, which is given a very big advantage. So there are things that you can produce with much less waste and much less energy than with other production methods. So I thought, yeah, it could make some sense. For low volume runs, low volume production, it's a very good tool. And so here we are. That would not be enough in itself because I was still very hesitant about the whole thing due to the harmful emission stuff. And then I found an article on the internet, and I will link the article for you, about how a 3D printer enclosure and using HEPA and active carbon combined filters together with ventilation system can very drastically reduce any kind of emission from a 3D printer. So you basically don't need a separate room to run it. You can use it in your house if you have a very good airtight enclosure. Yeah, I've checked what's available online, and maybe I will build my own filter, maybe I will buy one. We will see in the future. But right now we are only using PLA because that's the least problematic of all of these, with good ventilation and testing the printer. Okay, so we have the printer now. We have had it for a few weeks and we've been testing it, and it's quite really good. I'm very impressed by the quality, honestly. Prusa Mini Plus, very nice so far. But there are of course occasional issues like nozzle clogging, etc., which we are trying to work around. So we've tried to put a dust filter on the filament in feed, but otherwise the machine is very good, and I think it's really promising. But oh, and it also has, usually the 3D printers need manual bed leveling. This one has a fixed bed and a magnetic induction sensor for actually doing a software bed leveling, which is basically using the z-axis as compensation for any unevenness, which is quite very clever. And it does the bed leveling before each print because the sheet is removable. It has this spring steel sheet. Yeah. So there's that. I quite like it so far, and I hope I can continue making videos about the topic. So if there is any question, let me know, and see you guys around. Bye bye.